This ain't crazy talk. I know what happened, bro.
Well then,
I know.
so what, you want to tell it or not? Because either you're going to hold it in and let it destroy your life.
You can hear her say, make him spit up, period. So when these tapes come out, people will know I'm telling the absolute truth.
I did not cheat on Will Smith, no matter how sad he looked at that table. And when you read this book, you will kind of get an understanding.
Jada Pinkett Smith is having to go through in that scenario, and that's what business they're in.
All right, y'all. This Brashier Gray situation is getting very dark, and it's becoming obvious that this young man has been through some kind of trauma. But here's where it gets really uncomfortable. Brashier was mentored by Jada and Will Smith when he was first coming up in Hollywood. And you have to stop and ask, what kind of mentorship are we actually talking about? Even Katt Williams just recently said there's a lot of dark stuff happening behind closed doors, and they hide it all under the label of mentorship.
You don't care how people feel about the ritual. It's about, does following the ritual work? Yeah. And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear.
Now, the reason we're looking at Jada specifically is because she has a documented pattern of inserting herself into the lives of young men who are literally the same age as her own son. August Alsina is the most obvious example. We all know that story, but apparently, he's not the only one. And right now, rumors are swirling that Brashier has been threatened by Jada to stay quiet about whatever allegedly went down in the Smith household. And when you compare Brashier from his Empire days, before the Smiths started mentoring him, and Brashier now, it's like two different men. Take just one look at Brashier's X account and the stuff he posts, and it's clear something is very, very wrong. But that's not all. Brashier also recently broke down crying during a conversation with a friend, and based on what he's saying, it sounds like he's genuinely traumatized and wrestling with whether to finally tell the world what happened to him or to bury it forever and keep suffering in silence.
Like with that, bro, this ain't crazy talk. I know what happened, bro.
Well then,
I know.
So what, you want to tell it or not? Because either you're going to hold it in and let it destroy your life, or you just going to tell it now, or you don't even have to tell it. You want other people to tell it. But see, people are not going to sit there and say stuff for you, Brashier, and then you get scared and be like, oh, I don't want to say it. I understand. If you want to just keep the peace and move and do your music, then that's fine. And I don't blame you. But what people need to know is that there was some things going on. You don't have to tell nobody nothing, okay? This nobody's business, but I think instead of them making you out to be this person that was out of control and crazy, they need to know that you didn't have people that was worried about your welfare. You know what I'm saying? Listen, you are not the fault of the things that happened to you, okay? You did not lose any, listen, listen. You did not lose any, listen, Brian. Listen.
Go ahead.
You did not lose anything. You had a little trouble, and it happens. Just get back. Learn from it. Do your music. Put your story into your music. Make it 20 times better. I always told you,
I got one try.
You don't have one.
Try.
The thing is, if you believe in God, God is the God of second chances. Second chances, not second chances. That means you always get a chance when you give it to God. What I'm telling you is that you need to understand that you are not the fault of anything that's happened to you. You have people that were older than you, wiser than you, and more manipulative than you, taking advantage of you.
Now, if you're wondering why this conversation was made public, according to Brashier's friend, Brashier gave him permission to release it. Apparently, Brashier wants the world to know what's happening to him, but he's afraid to discuss what has happened to him publicly. And apparently, the reason Brashier is so scared is because whatever happened to him was done by some very powerful people involved. So who traumatized Brashier? And why are so many people pointing fingers directly at Jada and Will Smith? Well, this isn't new. This allegation has been circulating for years, even before all that Diddy stuff started getting exposed. Jaguar Wright talked about his way back in 2022. And look, love her or hate her, Jag has been saying things long before they became headlines. And she claimed in an interview that Brashier was one of those young men who allegedly ran away screaming from Will and Jada's house.
They're both bisexual, they do weird things in their house, and young men have left their house screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills, Brashier Gray, left that house screaming. August the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed a dog.
And then Katt Williams also talked about seeing men go to these parties at celebrities' houses. And according to Katt, they would go in looking all happy and excited and come out looking broken and worn out.
Yeah, I would go to the parking lot and I would watch them all go up there. And, you know, they would be thinking I'm coming later. I would just be on the car having a grand old time, smoking and laughing and watching everybody going. And yeah, so you can't tell me what goes on, because 5 hours later, I'm still in the parking lot when they come down. And, you know, just to see all them big time Hollywood men that I just watched go up there, they all come down off the shuttle and looking sad in the eyes. They all walk crazy like this, and their shoelaces were always untied. I don't know why. Their shoelaces were always untied. And then they would get in their car and they would drive off standing up. Big boy.
Now let's go back to Brashier, because if the stories about what happened to him are actually true, then there's nothing to laugh about here. Nothing. After his role on Empire, it looked like this kid was about to become Hollywood's next leading man. He had the look, the talent, the momentum, but something went wrong along the way. Something happened. Bryshere completely fell off, and it soon became very clear that this young man was really struggling mentally. Fast forward to now, and Bryshere is earning money on fans, where he's posting bizarre videos with men and trans models. Now look, I'm not here to shame anybody's choices, but you have to ask, what path leads a promising young actor from a hit TV show to that? What breaks somebody that badly? And with all the rumors swirling about young male actors and singers being targeted in this industry, fans are now asking a very uncomfortable question. Is all of this connected to the trauma Bryshere allegedly experienced at the hands of people who were supposed to be mentoring him? Bryshere started his career as a rapper, making waves at music festivals around Philadelphia, even opening for big names like Fabulous and 2 Chainz. So the talent was there, but it was 2015 when he really hit the jackpot. He landed his breakout role as Hakeem Lyon on the hit Fox series Empire, sharing the screen with heavyweights like Taraji P. Henson and Terrence Howard. That same year, Bryshere signed a record deal with Columbia Records. And here's where it gets interesting. Everyone started comparing him to a young Will Smith. And guess what happened next? Will took Bryshere under his wing and started mentoring him. The same Will Smith, the same Jada, the same household where young men allegedly ran out of screaming.
You know, he's surrounded by a whole lot of strength. He's surrounded by a whole lot of love. And all he has to do is add discipline, and he's gonna be all right.
It's like Uncle Will, you know? Who is best to give you advice? And it's Will Smith, and I'm getting so much good advice.
Now let's pause for a second and really talk about Will and Jada's so-called mentorship of young men, because there may be something very dark happening behind the scenes that nobody wants to look at. Remember the whole drama about Jada's entanglement with August Alsina? Everybody was focused on the gossip, Jada cheating, Will supposedly giving Jada permission to sleep with August. But here's what didn't get talked about enough. August is 21 years younger than Jada, and on top of that, it was Jaden who introduced August to his mother. So just imagine if the roles were reversed, and Will hooked up with one of Willow's young female friends. But it gets worse. August was struggling with addiction when Jada took him under her wing. Also, keep this in mind. August had no family support when the Smiths swooped in to mentor him. He was in a very vulnerable state, so vulnerable that it almost feels like Jada targeted him on purpose. Just days before his 18th birthday, August lost his brother Melvin, and then sometime later, his sister Chandra passed away from cancer. To make matters even worse, August became estranged from his own mother. Why? Because August told his mom that an adult they both knew did the unthinkable to him when he was super young.
So are you also gonna expose the fact that you have molested me when I was in your presence as a kid? I remember asking my moms to not say nothing, to hold that down and to, you know, keep that secret. And not even a day later, random people tell me, oh, yeah, you know, your mama said this.
So tell me again, why do the Smiths keep finding these broken young men with no one to protect them? And it's also crazy how everyone just ignored the fact that Jada bragged about sleeping with someone who was both physically and mentally unwell. But let's not let Will off the hook either. Word on the street is that he was not only aware, but actively involved in the so-called mentorship. Remember when comedian Bert Kreischer revealed that back in the day he got an invite to audition for a project with Will's company? According to Bert, Will invited him to see a movie, but when he told his dad about it, his dad warned him that Will probably had other intentions.
They sit 2 chairs in the middle of a dance studio, facing 2 folding chairs in the middle of a dance studio, facing each other, and they're like, "We'll be in a second." I sat with the chair with my back to the door. I didn't know what door he was coming in. And he walked in behind me and I could feel his energy. And he liked me. He was like, "Let's go see a movie." And I was like, "Okay."
You guys went to a movie?
I called my dad and I was like, I got in the car, my dad goes, "How'd it go?" I go, "It went great." He was like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, we're going to the movies." My dad's like, "What?" I go, "We're going to the movies." And he was like, "Want a date?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "I don't know, I really didn't ask." Like I was just needing, and he was like, "What do you mean? Like, what, you and him are going to the movies together?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess." And I was like, "It's at Planet Hollywood." And he was like, "They have a movie theater there?" I was like, "Dad, I don't know. Maybe we'll go get lunch there and dinner and then we'll go to the movies." And he was like, "Oh, buddy, he's trying to f*** you." I was like,
By the way, Bert also mentions how a lot of these Hollywood actors have a sick obsession with turning the up-and-coming rappers.
he goes, "Listen, this is very popular in Hollywood. These guys have had so much pussy, they get tired of it. And so they're trying to turn out young boys. That's the only thing that really excites them is watching the look in your eyes when you have to suck your first."
Now let's circle back to Brashier because things took a serious turn after Will and Jada started mentoring him. On July 13th, 2020, Brashier was arrested after a disturbing DV incident involving his wife, which even escalated into a standoff with police. He ended up facing several charges leading to 10 days in jail and 3 years of probation. Meanwhile, rumors also started swirling that Brashier developed substance issues after allegedly being victimized by not just Will and Jada, but also other powerful figures in this industry. And some sources claim one of these figures was allegedly none other than Empire co-creator Lee Daniels. Fans first started raising eyebrows after Bryshere appeared on The Breakfast Club with Lee back in 2017. There were tons of comments pointing out how Daniels was looking at Bryshere in a way that just felt strange. Like he wasn't treating him like a protege or a young actor he was mentoring. He was treating him more like a boyfriend.
We see you out all the time. I see you all over the place.
Do we be at the club?
I think he's working. Right, Brashier? Yeah, he's working. I see him out working all the time. Yeah. He said, yeah. I mean, because obviously you're a musician, you're an artist, so you have that as well.
You might catch me at the club sometime.
Right, you gotta be. Lee, you don't really go out like that to the clubs. No, I don't. Big Daddy's not out. No. You don't have time.
I mean, you got the kind of money you can have a club at your house. Why am I hot in here all of a sudden? Because you sitting there with your own.
A lot of people felt there was something weird about the dynamic between Lee Daniels and Brashier. Someone commented on this video, "The way Lee and Brashier look at each other, you already know. You want to be a star? What you going to do for me?" And another person wrote, "I'm sorry, but does anyone else feel like Lee Daniels knows this young man better than he should? Why do I feel uneasy watching this? Brashier, you okay?" But here's where it gets even more disturbing. So rumor has it, and I'm just telling you what's out there, not making any claims, that there's a secret club within Hollywood where high-profile celebrities participate in these bizarre parties for something they call energy harvesting. And allegedly, Bryshere was one of their victims. Celebrity medium Sloan Bella talked about this before. And before you roll your eyes, she actually correctly predicted a lot of stuff involving Diddy and all those allegations. So Sloan claimed that powerful industry people were involved in these energy rituals with young people. And she explained it has nothing to do with their orientation. It's more about breaking down another person and stealing their energy.
There are gay people, but what we're talking about here is ritualistic sexual deviancy used to harness energy of a human being. Ritualized, thought out, planned specifically to rip the person down and hide behind their energy. That is what we are talking about. We are talking about the ritualizing, sexualized aggression directed at young children, mainly male, in order to harness their energy. But what if we're talking about a religion that hides behind the energy of the most innocent on this planet who are lit up energetically because it hasn't been broken.
And then Katt Williams mentioned something similar during his appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he claimed that certain Hollywood celebs are involved in the so-called Baphomet rituals.
The earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender.
Now circling back to Brashier, the saddest part is that it looks like he might be too far gone. Recent reports are saying he's deeply traumatized and refusing help. And instead of getting support, he's lashing out and acting even more bizarre. One look at him and you can tell this is somebody who's been destroyed from the inside out. And while some fans are clowning Brashier, saying he blew his own opportunities by being reckless, others are convinced that all of this is just proof he's been targeted and victimized by someone in the industry. One fan said something that really stuck with me. They said, "Once Will Smith said he just needs to learn some discipline, I knew his career was over then. They always use the word discipline when they want you to bend over and touch your ankles." And someone else wrote, "Jada and Will are sick just like Diddy. Why are they not prosecuted? Their kids left home at an early age. Now I see why. Sick and disgusting behavior." But what about you? Do you think Brashier's downward spiral is a consequence of some trauma he went through in the industry? And do you think Jada and Will personally did something to him? Drop your comments below and stay tuned for the next video.